And also, Dad, the attacking part of our game is getting a lot of attention. We are not scoring as many goals, arguably, as we can and we should. I think a classic example is the Bristol Rovers game. We should have been 4-5 up at half time. That's just a classic example.
Yeah,
But what's flying under the radar is our defence. We've only conceded one goal in the last 6 league
yeah,
games.
yeah.
Since
Five clean sheets.
since
Yeah,
he made those changes at Exeter, it
yeah,
has been absolutely
yeah.
fantastic. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Boxing Day, Birmingham City beat Burton Albion 2-0 in a very dominant and professional performance. And that keeps the Blues at the top of the league. That's 8 wins now across all competitions, and that's 12 goals in 15 games for Stano in the league. So a really, really strong and positive start to this festive season for Blues. And we were there, and Dad, of course, now we have our tradition where we go for a couple of beers before the game. What were your thoughts after the final whistle?
Yeah, it's good. Firstly, shout out to Donna, who was in front of us in the queue to get into the fan park. Donna and her son. Donna is a contributor to the channel, as many of you are, and it was nice to meet her. She lives in Surrey and travels up every home game with her son. So every home game is an away game for her, effectively. And it was nice talking to you, Donna. Nice talking to your son. And full respect for all Birmingham City supporters that travel to the game, but particularly those ones that travel, longer distances. We all met some other chaps. And, we had a few beers by then. I can't remember people's names, but met some really nice people.
It is.
There's a couple of guys we met just inside the Tilton when we went through the turnstiles from the Redditch Supporters Club, I think they were. And they were great as well, weren't they? Had conversations with them. And anybody else that we spoke to, really nice meeting you all. And thanks for coming over and chat to us.
Yeah, because we started off in the Roost, then we went into the fan zone,
Yeah.
and then we had a couple of beers in the Tilton as well, didn't we? So
Yeah.
we saw a wide range of people. And for us, Dad, it's really nice to put faces to the YouTube handles, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
to bridge that gap. But as you say, we always think of ways to interact with people. And when we see people at the games, it's always a pleasure, isn't it? Everyone's really polite and kind and always has really good things
and
to say.
it was our first visit to the new fan zone over on that side of the ground, wasn't it? It's great, isn't it? It's really, really good. I think it's going to be quite a popular place for Blues fans as we go through the rest of the season and beyond. One tip, and Matt sort of brought this to the table, is they don't sell neck oil, do they?
Yeah.
They got some nice selection of lagers and other drinks, but no neck oil, which you can get inside the ground. So maybe if you're watching this Birmingham City, put some neck oil on there, and me and Matt will be there a lot more regularly. So we went into the ground actually after. We had a couple there and went to the ground for some neck oil. But the fan zone was great, wasn't it?
Was.
Onto the ground, you said it was like a how did you refer to the performance as it?
I said professional and dominant.
Yeah, okay. Now, I'll take your word for that because I couldn't see a thing with the fog. It was a strange experience, wasn't it? We knew it was a foggy day, and before, as we know, Birmingham City supporters, the club always do the fireworks now. That didn't help because the fog was low and obviously held the.
There was no wind.
There was
so
no
literally,
wind.
when the fireworks went up and the mist mixed with the fog, it just stayed there.
Yeah, and
So
when
for
the,
about 20 minutes, I couldn't see anything.
and when the referee blew the whistle to start the game, it literally was a blanket of fog. It did lift a little bit, and to
Yeah,
be
it
fair,
did.
we could see some, but it was a strange experience, wasn't it?
It was about 20 minutes for me. After about 20 minutes, I could start to see a bit more. But honestly, for that first bit of the game, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I would say in hindsight that it wasn't a spectacular performance. It was efficient, and we found a way of being efficient in games. I think a lot of Blues fans will look at teams like Crawley, who we've played recently, Burton, and they think we should trounce them. But it's effectively, I'd like to see us play more on the front foot. I'd like to see us score more goals. But ultimately, it's about being efficient. And Chris Davis, in his post-match interview, said that, when we were 2-0 up, we didn't need to go and chase the game. So I think he's instructed the players, once you have got a bit of a cushion, you don't need to go gung-ho. You can just basically manage the game. It keeps players fit, and it doesn't always give us the amount of goals that we want, but it still allows us to get those 3 points, and that's the main thing. A game which we completely controlled.
Yeah.
They had one chance that they should have scored, to be honest. But
It was easier to score than it was miss,
yeah,
wasn't it?
but
That was it.
Every team will get a chance like that
Yeah.
in a game. It's just whether they take it or not. But for me, I was really pleased with the 3 points, and we continued on top. And obviously, it was important because all the 3 teams below us that are chasing us, they all won as well.
And also, Dad, I think about context here. This is the Christmas period. We have 5 games in about 7 or 8 days or something crazy. So, to go 2-0 up and then almost go into a little bit of cruise control with the amount of games coming up isn't a bad thing. You avoid injuries, you avoid lunging in and getting suspended or a card. You avoid a lot of avoidable things that could happen if you went gung-ho or kept the pressure on and stuff like that. So I've noticed it now in a few games, Dad. We go one or two and look, and we
Yeah.
just go in cruise control. We
Yeah.
just go back into second gear. It kind of feels like a training ground element to it. It kind of feels, a little bit like a preseason friendly or a training ground. You know, it has that
Yeah.
feel to it when we
Yeah.
go a couple of goals up. But because of the time of year, I don't think that's a totally bad thing. And, you know, a few fans on social media are saying, you know, we're pretty boring to watch and all these things. And I remember, was it Maresca, who's the Chelsea manager now at Leicester last year? He had the same things, and he was like, "Well, do you want to be boring, or do you want to win football matches?"
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to be attractive and concede more goals? It is a bit of a conundrum, isn't it? Because we all want to see, every fan wants to see fast, attractive football, scoring loads of goals and winning every game.
Definitely.
But the reality of football, it's not like this. Now, I don't think our season is going to be defined on these games, Crawleys, your Burtons, because you know, with respect to them, and it is with respect for them, they're all decent opposition in terms of, you know, they've all got good players. But your season is going to be more defined with your continuation of what we're doing, winning streaks, and also the teams around you and how you play against them. Now, all the teams around us, we've already beaten once. So we'll come, particularly when we come to the fixtures in January and early February. They're I believe they're the fixtures I believe are going to define where we finish and how well we do this season.
And also, Dad, the attacking part of our game is getting a lot of attention. We are not scoring as many goals, arguably, as we can and we should. I think a classic example is the Bristol Rovers game. We should have been 4-5 up at half time. That's just a classic example.
Yeah.
But what's flying under the radar is our defence. We've only conceded 1 goal in the last 6 league games.
Yeah,
Since
five clean sheets.
Since he made those changes at Exeter, it has been absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. And you can't deny the impact that Ben Davies has had in that.
Yeah.
Since he's came in, that's a big factor in it.
Yeah.
And the only goal we conceded there was away to Barnsley, and that was a Paycone goal. Through I don't know actually who got the credit for that goal, but it was a Paycone goal.
It was a Paycone goal.
Yeah,
I think it was down as a Paycone goal.
So you know, and again, that was an unfortunate goal to concede. But when you look at that stat, the fact we're only conceding 1 goal in 6 league games, I think that's worth a shout out in and of itself, because I think that's outstanding.
Well, that was our problem at the start of the season. We were conceding sloppy goals, but then that was always going to be the case because we were new to the league. We had a whole new squad of players. Chris Davis was trying different things out. Ben Davies has out the back has tightened it up, and that brings us nicely, actually, nice little segue onto the team, because we knew Clara was suspended. And what happened is what we predicted, wasn't it? I'm sure lots of other Blues fans predicted this, that Christian Bielet went back, who I think was solid enough at right, but he won't have a much easier game than that. Really had a few little things, but Bielet went with Ben Davies at the centre halves, and he brought Laird into the right back position, and Mark Leonard started in place of Paik, and also Alfie Moe was on the bench, and Dyke started. And they were the only changes.
I think between us, we got the team right, but we had a few discrepancies there, because I know I picked Dykes and you picked Leonard. So I think between us, and a lot of Blues fans probably guessed that team, but we always knew there were going to be changes because of the schedule, with the amount of games coming up. But it was nice for me, in my opinion, to see that those rotation things work. You know, I thought Leonard had a good game.
Leonard was very good. Leonard, I know that Blues fans who watch this channel on a regular basis know that we really build up Leonard, don't we? But you see him, on the set pieces. He's a forward-thinking player, and I think if he had a stretch of games, he'd get even better. So I was pleased to see him in the starting lineup. I'm not too sure, and we'll talk about this obviously when we do our preview for the Blackpool game in terms of what the team will be. I'm just wondering whether there'll be a bit of rotation now. Pake's had a break. Let's give Water a break, and
maybe.
But we'll talk about that in that particular. But it's nice to have those options.
And I think that's exactly what Chris Davies needs to bring to his managerial career to take him to the next level. I think he's almost been a little bit fearful to rotate when he should have, in my humble opinion. And I think he's getting there now. He's starting to trust Mark Leonard a bit more. He's starting to trust some of the players who are on the fringe a little bit more, and hopefully we see a bit more, because we're in safe hands. Mark Leonard's an outstanding footballer. In fact, I thought he was great, just really progressive, just calm. Controls it, and his passing is outstanding. And for me, though, his partner in the midfield, Awata, was just outstanding. I'm not going to put the heat map up because I don't know whether we'll get flagged for copyright, but have a look at the heat map for Awata. He's our defensive-minded centre mid. The heat map, he's like a number 10.
Yeah, I saw that. They put that on Twitter, didn't they?
We were that dominant and that high up in our own pitch, Dad. Awata's heat map was him in basically the attacking part of the pitch. Outstanding performance.
No, he's quality, isn't he? I just felt that the changes were good. They were good changes, and I think for any game for Clara to be missing, this was the one. He's obviously had his suspension now, so now we go on to the next level for for yellow. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. It's 10 yellow cards after a certain amount of games, whatever it is. But he's had his suspension, and in a way, I think it was a good time anyway because he might have got a break anyway in this game. So he thought the fact that he was missing. We've got a decent replacements for him anyway. Interesting to see. Sorry, Matt. Interesting to see Sanderson on the bench as well. That took me by surprise. I think it took me by surprise because of all the speculation at the moment's going on about Dion Sanderson. But
There's no other option though.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Clara was suspended, we wouldn't have had any centre half on the bench if he wasn't there. So but he weren't used anyway. But he was there on the bench.
And Cochrane back at left back. Really nice to see him back.
It was
as
nice,
well.
but Chris Davies was asked about that, and he said that Buchanan, he's coming back. He's played, quite an intense amount of games in a short period of time after an injury. So it's just give him it back because Buchanan wasn't even on the bench.
Exactly.
So
that's smart.
Yeah.
Wise to do. You got a busy schedule. Why risk unnecessary injuries, especially in a position where Cochrane has just come back from injury now. This game, Buchanan's been out for a long time. Let's not put any undue stress on these players in terms of ligaments and injuries and stuff like that. But coming back to that defensive part of the game, Dad, because again, a lot of Blues fans are banging the drum about we're a bit boring going forward. We're not scoring goals. Okay, fine. I get that. I would love to see us score more goals. We all want it, don't we? We all want to see a 4-0, 5-0 trouncing. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that's going to happen very many times this season from the way teams set up. So this is a big thing for me. And teams are coming to St.Andrews and they're just putting 11 men behind the ball.
On that, before you go on to your next point, Matt, Chris Davies addressed that, didn't he? He said he was surprised by Burton. He said because he thought they'd come with 4 at the back. He said, but when he saw the team sheet, realised they were going to play 5 at the back. So he had to change his instructions. But he wasn't worried about it, he said, because we're used to that now. So he had to slightly adjust what his game plan was based upon what he saw on their team sheet. And he said something like, is it 9 out of 10 teams have done that come St Andrews have actually played?
Oh, 100%. And majority of away games we've been to when we've actually been the away team, the home teams, I feel like, and this is a compliment to Blues, teams pay us too much respect and they just sit off, they sit in their own half. So we're never going to trounce a team 5-0 when they've got 11 men in behind their own halfway line. It's just not going to happen because you have to grind them down and break them down. It takes time over the course of 90 minutes.
It gives me a bit of confidence for those games that we've got coming up, particularly the big games against the teams near the top. So when we're away at Wrexham, away at Huddersfield, I think we'll be better in them games because they're at home and they will come at us because they've got to. They can't play 5 at the back at home, and that's going to, with no team's done that yet, and I think if they do that, I think we will really, that'll really where we'll start to see the quality of our team when teams start to come at us. I can't see them doing that. So in a way, I'm quite pleased that we've played those teams at home. Now we've got them away because people might look at that. That's a tough away fixture. It is a tough away. Yeah, but I think it'll give our players the opportunity to play a bit more expansive. Yeah, because Burton, now they're bottom of the table, aren't they? They were put bottom because Shrewsbury won. We beat Burton. And they're bottom of the table, and these teams come to us, and that's all they can pretty much do. As well.
I mean, Dad, even when we were 2-0 up, Burton was still in their own half. It was almost like damage control. Like we don't want to get humiliated here, even at 2-0 down. So. Again,
I don't know if did you see Gary Bowyer's?
Oh, don't even start me on that. He's disappointed not to come away with something from the game.
I don't get that. I think the fog on pitch level must have been dense because he couldn't have seen that game. I suppose in a way as a manager, you've got to think about the next game and you've got to give your players confidence. But let's be real. Let's be real. The thing that disappointed me about us, though, and it is disappointing. We had 78% possession, right? We had 2 shots on target the whole game.
I know
that ain't really good enough, is it? But it is good enough because we got 3 points. So it is a tough one. This
is the difficult thing as a Blues fan base at the minute, isn't it? We are having fantastic games of football in terms of possession, holding on to the ball. We are grinding teams down. We're doing very professional performances. But it is like, why aren't we utilising the ball a bit more effectively in the final third to really go at teams a bit more, score a few more goals? And I think there's a few factors that come into it. What a big one for me is the fact teams just sit back. I think we are missing like Scott Wright, Emil Hansen's ability to stretch a team really wide. They give us different options as well. So I think there's a few factors that go into it.
Emil Hansen came on as a sub at half-time, but he came on actually on the right. He normally starts on there because Keshi went off at half-time, didn't he? And what Chris Davies says about that was, he said he's had a little bit of fatigue, so he possibly could be rested for the next game. But I think that's an issue without Scott Wright there. Maybe those are the areas that we've got Jay now, haven't we, on the right? And he ain't going to lose that position unless Chris Davies puts him somewhere else. So our wingers are the I suppose maybe where we really need to look at. I think in terms of what our options are. Because obviously Scott Wright's been out for quite a while now, hasn't he?
Got Yokoyama plays on the wings.
Keshi's done brilliant. So that's almost like glossed over it, hasn't it? Because of Keshi's form and his ability to score goals and to make assists.
Yeah.
But I think there are areas that we possibly might need to look at. Yeah, Yokoyama, he could play on the left, but because there's only 7 subs allowed, he very rarely even gets on the bench, doesn't he? So it's a bit of a dilemma.
Yeah. But just quickly then on that point, because obviously we've spoken about the attacking side. We could be more ruthless. We could score more goals. I get that. But again, I just don't want it to get missing because I think it's such an important factor. That defensive record is truly outstanding. And what I'm really loving at the minute as well is our tenacity off the ball, our press, our energy, the ability to win the second ball, the battle that we're showing. Burton could only stay on the ball for like 13 seconds yesterday. I think I was doing a countdown in my head every time Burton had the ball. The most I got to was about 15, 20 seconds before we either took it off them or they hoofed it.
Yeah.
They were completely incapable of playing football because our energy, our fitness, our tenacity to get the ball back. And I think we can look at the attacking parts of the game. That's fine. We need to look at it. Goals, ruthlessness, but let's not discredit and give the credit where it deserves to the defensive side of our game and what we do out of possession as well, because it's outstanding.
I think that what you've pointed out, the way teams set up against us, it is a tough nut to crack. You play any team that plays, a 5 or a 4 with a bank of 4 in front. It is literally like trying to go through a wall.
Yeah.
So no matter how good or bad or technically gifted those players are, if they're closing and blocking, you still. Even if you've got the most gifted players in the world, that's going to be hard to break down. I mean, but as I say, I would like to see a few more shots on target. I think Smokey Water tried a few long-range shots that are probably on the way to city centre even now. They were quite high and wide, weren't they?
But still, though, have a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
What they say, you don't make an omelet without cracking some eggs. Just have a blooming go. Just hit the. Try and test the keeper, hit the target, hit the post, go out for a corner, deflection. Yeah. Endless opportunities or possibilities.
Well, we took the lead with a penalty. Let me get your views on the penalty. What was it, a penalty?
I thought it was soft.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Blues fan. The referee awarded a penalty for my club. I'm not going to go, that's not a penalty, change the decision. But I looked at it in the moment and I thought, oh, that looks soft. And obviously, as always, Dad, we do our research and I watched the replay.
Yeah, me too.
And I thought it was soft.
Me too. I like you say, we're not going to not take it because over the season it does balance out because you get the decisions against you, so you have to take them when they come.
Of course we do.
But I looked at that as well and I thought, if that was given against us, I would be really disappointed. At the end of the day, I think Keshi's backing in and the player just sort of climbs over him. I mean, that happens all the time.
Yeah, I agreed.
But we're not going to take the good play. What was interesting is that obviously there was a player injured when we were awarded the penalty for Burton. Notice that Mark Leonard took the ball.
Yes.
This is a tactic, isn't it?
Brilliant.
I think they used it. Yeah, so he protected the penalty spot, and also I think the goal, because they normally the goalkeeper and the player try to put doubts in the mind, and then the referee just about the penalty and overwalks Jay Stansfield, gives him the ball, and I just love that penalty as well. I mean, it hit the post, didn't it? Oh my word! It was that was close.
Even again, I'm not going to put it on the video for copyright reasons, but there's a picture somewhere of the guys having a huddle after the goal, and Jay Stansfield's face is like. Almost to say that was close.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, soft penalty, good finish if he meant it right inside the post, quite literally.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he couldn't see the far post with the fog. It was that bad.
It was, yeah.
But yeah, we'll take it and we go 1-0.
Yeah, and that gave us, and based upon possession and chances, clearly we deserve to be winning the game, but to come that way was maybe a little bit fortunate, but nevertheless it did, and you'll take it. And then it was the same old thing after that as well. Interestingly, we've said before about teams, when we do go 1-0 up, you think most teams, if it was in the Championship, they'd come at you.
Of course they would.
In this league, they don't. They seem to accept that they're losing 1-0. I find that so strange. It's almost like, well, if we go away from Birmingham City with a narrow defeat, or think, well, maybe we can do what Northampton did. We can just hang in there. So even though we went 1-0 up, nothing changed. It was still the war.
Bizarre, isn't it?
It was really, really, really weird, wasn't it? And
I thought teams would back themselves a little bit more or have a little bit more self-respect, just in terms of actually trying to have a go. Because, we got relegated from the Championship last season, so we lost a lot of games, but we never sat back in games. I mean, fair enough, you could have argued with some of the players' passion and desire and fight in certain games, but we never just sat back and rolled over. we at
Had a
least
go.
tried to have a go. You know,
Yeah.
where's that respect for your own team in this league where you actually want to have a go?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It just creates that problem for us to solve, and we know that this is what it's going to be like for the rest of us, particularly at St.Andrews. Now our home record's so good as well. So half time come and went, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then the second goal came, which
Really bad individual error,
50,
wasn't it?
60. Yeah, but it was a good play from us down the
was.
right. I mean, Laird did well.
Yeah.
He attacked, passed it to Williamson,
Williamson.
didn't he? And then obviously Williamson crossed it. I think hit their defender to their goalkeeper, or off the back of their goalkeeper. It was a bizarre goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
But we said in the pre-match video, Dad, teams like this, Burton and Shrewsbury and teams down the bottom, they're prone to individual moments of error, which can cost you games. I mean, we were 1-0 up at that moment anyway, but it was a kind of a comedy goal, weren't it? You know, when you look back, if you played the Benny Hill soundtrack, it wouldn't have looked out of place. You know,
very much
it
so.
was a bit circusy, but as you say, good play from Laird. Really good to see Williamson. I wouldn't say backfiring on all cylinders, but he was definitely a lot more effective in this game in certain parts. And put the ball in the mix. Things can happen.
But you have to, if you put the ball in the danger areas, it gives the defenders a choice to make, and obviously they panicked. And
Exactly.
it led to a goal, so that made it 2. Now, yeah, you might say the goals weren't pretty. We had a soft penalty and a deflected goal from them, and this is Burton Albion. But ultimately, no one's going to even care about that. The result says Birmingham City 2, Burton Albion 0, and we get 3 points. But that's 6 in a row now in the league since we lost to Shrewsbury, 8 in all competitions, and we've got Blackpool at home in a few days, and then we've got Stockport away, haven't we?
Do you know what I think's had a massive impact on this run, Dad? And I know we've said it a lot. I know you completely agree with me. It's the Alfie May Stansfield experiment is now over. He's playing Stansfield consistently on the left-hand side of the attacking mid, and he's put Ben Davies at the left part of centre-half. That, to me, has what's caused this massive form in terms of clean sheets, and it's what's created our successful wins going forward, because we do look a lot more like a unit and a team and together. And like you've been saying, Dad, all season, if we keep conceding goals, you have to score 2, 3, 4 to win the game because you're still vulnerable at the back. We're so strong at the back now. I feel if we play most teams and we go 1 goal up, if we're decent enough, we will win that game because we're tight and solid at the back again now. And that's a nice feeling as a fan, isn't it, to know that you're solid at the back. But I think those 2 changes made a massive impact.
I do. I feel much more comfortable now with Ben Davies there. And,
100%.
We've
got to get him on a permanent.
I really hope so. Really hope so, because I think him and Clara are a fantastic pairing. In the middle. I mean, we will this season concede some goals. You're not going to go for the season without conceding goals, but it just makes it easier. If you concede less goals, it makes it easier to win games, because you might get a sneaky 1-0 or a goal that just edges it and stuff like. We haven't been doing that. Start of the season, we didn't keep hardly any clean sheets as well.
That's
it. So that's 6 in a row. Just to reiterate our results after Shrewsbury. Just so that we can just remind ourselves where we are. This is just league games, okay? So we lose 3-2 to Shrewsbury, and I still have nightmares about that. I can't believe we did that. Then we go and beat Exeter 2-0 away, Stockport 2-0 at home, Barnsley 2-1 away, Bristol Rovers 2-0 at home, Crawley 1-0 away, and then now Burton 2-0 at home.
Okay, not a single trouncing, but a really consistent rhythm to our results now, isn't there? And I'll take that.
Yeah, me too. And I think we've got some tougher fixtures coming up now and through January.
Some big games,
and they're the games that are going to really, determine. How the season's going to go.
If we're going to be honest, Dad, it's your Wrexham away, it's your Huddersfield away.
Stockport away.
We got Wickham at home coming up. So, exactly, Stockport away. These are the games. If you win these, or you say don't lose them, puts us in
I think the games against like Wrexham and Huddersfield, ideally you want to win them, but I think if you don't lose them, you're not giving them any advantage.
6 pointers, aren't they?
Yeah. But we've got some tough games in there as well. Wigan, I think, is a tough game away as well. They've got the possibilities of hurting you, but we'll come on. We'll do those videos when we get to those matches. But overall, really pleased with the 3 points. I see a lot of reaction on social media. There are some really, really fickle fans, and this is just the nature of football fans across every club, not just ours. But there's one guy on X. He posted a picture at the start of the game of a few empty seats. And he said, "Well, where are the Blues fans? It's supposed to be a sellout." And somebody commented underneath, "Just watch the game." And we are quite fickle at times, and I just think that we need to get behind the club. If you were to say to a Blues fan at the start of the season, going into Boxing Day or after Boxing Day, you're going to be top of the league, you would have dropped 12 points out of your first 20 games, and that's the reality, Blues fans. We've only got 12 points out of our first 20 games in this league. If we continue on that type of form, clearly we are going to get promoted on that level.
Yeah, of course.
Of form.
Yeah.
So we need to be thankful for where we are, and we are. I still think there's going to be one or two little bumps in the road as we go through. It's not going to be smooth sailing in this league. It never was going to be, and everyone's out to get us.
Yeah.
But all we got to do is keep doing what we're doing, grinding out these results, and and if we do that, we'll be absolutely fine.
I think though, with these clean sheets that we're keeping and these games that we're still battling our way through, I think the season, it's not going to get easier. That's not what I'm saying, but I feel like the turbulence is behind us. I think we're getting a lot more set as a team. Chris David said in his post-match video on social media where he was with the team in the change room, he goes, "We're a proper unit. We're a unit now. We're a team now." And he was talking about how that game had a different element to it, had a battle to it. I think it was the Stockport game. That second half of the Stockport game was a bit grafty and battly. So no, all positive. We move on to the next game, Dad, which will be Blackpool, and hopefully we keep maintaining that top of the league and keep pushing forward.
Keep right on.
Keep right on, indeed. But as always, Birmingham City supporters, we'd love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts. Do you agree with some of the elements that myself and Dad discussed there, or do you have some of your own inputs? Please let us know in the comments section below. Myself and Dad will get around to that as quickly as we can. And maybe you're a Burton Albion fan and you were at the game or you watched it. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section below as well. If you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify now as well. And if you haven't already, don't forget to press that big red subscribe button and press that bell notification as well, and you'll get notified every time we post on YouTube. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video all about Birmingham City.